अंश, वेलकम टू द चैनल। कैसे हो आप?
Thank you so much, buddy. Super happy to be here.
Awesome. So this video is going to be a really interesting and fun one that I haven't done in a long time. We will talk about UI UX design. We'll be talking about psychology, about storytelling, about productivity, and like how did you get started in your journey. So we'll be doing all of that in this video. Make sure that you watch till the end. Timestamps are going to be in the description as well. But talking about your journey, I got to know about you from my mom. She messaged me one day saying that, hey, check out this video about UX design by Ansh. She's teaching it very well. That's when I got to know कि अच्छा अंश भैया हैं ये सिखा रहे हैं on YouTube. So that was my first starting point, right? I'm curious, how did you got started with UX design and how was your journey like?
So I was originally a filmmaker. Filmmaking का बहुत शौक था, but I felt कि computer science is the safest way to go. So I studied computer science, and during the journey I felt कि मुझे कुछ creative भी करना है, but tech से भी अपने आप को जोड़ के रखना है. That is where I found UX. Started learning online. YouTube पे जितने भी tutorials थे, and धीरे धीरे सीखते सीखते I got an opportunity to compete at Hack MIT, Hack Harvard. तो जब बाहर गया हैकाथॉन्स में देखा कि कितना स्कोप है, दैट रियली मोटिवेटेड मी. लेटर ऑन आई जॉइन स्विगी एज द फर्स्ट प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन इंटर्न, एंड स्विगी के बाद आई जॉइन ज़ाडिल वेयर आई वाज द फर्स्ट प्रोडक्ट डिजाइनर ऑन बोर्ड.
Throughout this journey, how did you figure out कि design is the one thing that you enjoy doing? आपने बहुत सारी चीजें ट्राई की होंगी.
Yeah.
How did you think कि ठीक है, design is what I will do for the long term?
Yeah, multiple things, right? So I tried coding, development, HTML, CSS सब कुछ करा, but I feel कि design एक ऐसा subject था जहाँ पे I knew कि I will find something new every single day, right? So you talk to PMs, you talk to developers, you have to research a lot. So I really loved that process of stepping outside the cubicle and finding things. And जब करने लगे तो मैं flow state में आ गया, right? जैसे आप एक flow state में आ जाते हो, क्या this is the thing that I can do day and night. And I also felt कि it keeps me at a very good position because I have a lot of role in the product itself, right? So जब भी product बन रहा होता है, I have a lot of say, and that makes me feel very empowered.
Interesting. How would you advise people to start in this field as UX design? What is the effective way to do that? बहुत सारे तरीके हैं, ऐसे जा करके YouTube पे सर्च कर दो how to become.
Yeah.
4-5 वीडियो देखो, उसमें कुछ ट्राई करो, कुछ चला नहीं चला. But what is like a effective way that they can go through? And what are the skills that are required to become a great UX designer? And what is the scope like in this field?
Yeah, so the prescription is pretty long, but just to keep it in a very simple manner, there are two things. There's the tool, then there's the subject. Tool से आप Figma करके एक free tool है, it runs on cloud, वो आपको download करना है, and YouTube पे Figma के YouTube channel पे there's a getting started playlist, वहाँ से आपको tool समझ आ जाएगा. For the subject, I would recommend you to start reading on Medium. Medium is the best place. तो Medium पे अगर आप search करो कि UX design case studies, there's this publication called UX Collective. वहाँ से you can start reading. There's a website called growth.design जहाँ पे बड़ी बड़ी applications के आप actual case studies पढ़ सकते हो कि इस बड़ी app ने अपने conversions कैसे बढ़ाए. आपको एक real life practical experience मिलता है, and later on you just have to start working on your own personal projects. अपना Notion पे portfolio बनाओ, 2-3 अच्छी case studies डालो and start applying for work.
We'll talk about Notion in some time as well. You mentioned portfolio. एक portfolio बनाने के लिए what are the things that people should keep in mind? क्योंकि I think that is the most important thing. The way you show yourself, the way you sell
Yeah.
yourself as a UX designer.
Yeah.
So like, what tips do you have for that?
There are many things to consider actually. सबसे पहला is you have to show that you are good at what you do. Second is you're not just good at what you do, you also know how to sell what you do. तो अगर आपने 2-3 case studies बनाई भी है, you have to show that this is the process I took, because if you're selling just your solution, that is not enough. क्योंकि अगर आपने किसी मोबाइल ऐप की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर भी ली है, your recruiter will not expect you to solve the identical problem. So don't sell the solution, sell your ability to do the process. Second is to make it scalable. As I said, I would recommend you to either have a website or put it on Notion or put it on Medium कि एक dynamic link बन जाए. कभी भी आपने changes और link पे डाले तो आपने जो भी recruiter को भेजा है वहाँ पे भी वो reflect करने लग जाए. And third is be connected to the right people on the internet and build in public. क्योंकि जब आप Instagram पे, YouTube पे, Facebook पे regularly काम डालोगे, कहीं ना कहीं someone important will notice you and he will give you a good opportunity.
Got it. How can someone find a role? Ki like this is a role in a particular company or a startup, and then get that particular opportunity as well. Like what are some ways to find opportunities?
Yeah, I feel like मेरे को life में जितनी भी opportunities मिली है because of word of mouth and because I was very consistent with what I was doing, right? So अगर आप regularly Instagram, Medium यहाँ पे अपना काम डालोगे, there's Dribbble, there's Behance, there's TopTal, there's AngelList, there's LinkedIn. अगर आप इन 4-5 platforms पर regularly काम डालोगे, people will notice you. The issue is people are not working on themselves and then complaining कि हमें काम नहीं मिलता. अगर आप पे कोई काम लेके नहीं आ रहा, मतलब आपको कुछ करने की जरूरत है. So make sure you're good at what you're doing. Make sure you're available on the right platforms. connected to the right people and ready to work even for free in the beginning. Because जब आप किसी से मिलते हो, make sure you impress that person. If you have an interaction with someone and you leave that person impressed, that person will go back home and talk about you with other people. Once that happens, that is the best way to get opportunities.
Right. You worked at Swiggy and right now you're working at Zuddle. Why did you pick Zuddle and not Swiggy, which is a much more established company to work at?
So basically my Swiggy internship was gonna end. So I knew कि I have to find a good place to work at. Zuddle में जब मुझे co-founders ने call करा, भरत and Veda, I felt like they were really nice people and that was on a higher priority, right? तो मुझे पता था कि if I'm working with a good set of people, if I'm working on something that I'm truly excited about and I get to wear different hats, वहाँ पे तो learning curve is really high क्योंकि जब आप young होते हो इतनी judgments नहीं होती. अगर कोई बहुत बड़ा brand आपके साथ हो भी ना, it's okay.
Right.
Later on maybe at the age of 30 लोगों को लगता है कि अभी भी क्या startup कर रहा है, कोई बड़ा brand join कर. So I was like high risk appetite है, so let's go ahead with the startup.
What are some like free resources that people can use to get inspiration about design and just figure out कि अच्छा ये brand ने अपने page को ऐसे design किया. Like for example, I love decoding the way Apple designs their AirPods वाला page.
Yeah.
Right, like the way it just like goes around like that.
Yeah.
So like, what are some of the websites that you have found really insightful?
There are many websites, like my YouTube channel is filled with them, but just to give you like the basics, I feel ki to start, you have to start observing the products that you use. Your real life is the best way to get inspiration. For example, I get the best inspiration from stuff which is far away from tech and UX. मैं parties में जाता हूँ या movies देखता हूँ, कुछ भी देखता हूँ, I try to pick things from stuff that is in front of me. When we talk about websites, there's this place called growth.design. I already mentioned that, so that is a great place to start. On YouTube, if you just search UX, you'll find multiple channels. Medium, UX Collective, great resource. Figma की भी खुद के बहुत सारे blogs हैं. 100% I would recommend to do that. If you want to learn mobile design, there's this website called learnmobile.design. Brilliant place जहाँ पे सिर्फ mobile की resources है. Apple की HCI guidelines है. If you go on Google and type Apple HCI guidelines, you'll get many articles on UI design.
HCI is what exactly?
Human computer interaction. It's like the god level of UX. UX के ऊपर भी HCI आता है.
A basic question people might be having is like, what is the difference between UI and UX design?
Yeah, let's talk about the term. UX stands for user experience, UI stands for user interface. जब आप UX/UI बोलते हो तो लोगों को लगता है मे बी ये इंटरचेंजेबल है, बट ऐसा नहीं है. UX is this big umbrella. UX के अंदर बहुत से सब्जेक्ट्स आते हैं, UI is one of them. जब भी आप अपनी स्क्रीन को खोलते हो, जो आपको विजुअली दिख रहा है, जो विजुअल एलिमेंट्स है, वो आपका इंटरफेस है. और उसके बिहाइंड जितना भी लॉजिक, जितना भी रिसर्च है, दैट कम्स अंडर यूएक्स. तो टेक्निकली एवरीवन इज अ यूएक्स डिजाइनर बिकॉज वी वेयर अ लॉट ऑफ हैट्स. देयर आर सम पीपल हु आर जस्ट यूआई डिजाइनर्स, हु आर स्पेशलिस्ट्स. So you can say that, but when you say I'm a UX UI designer, it's redundant. UX designer is the right word for it.
Got it. As you said, like experience is what really matters for the user whenever they're trying to open a website and interact with it.
UX actually is not just for apps. That's a big misconception. UX is for everything. अगर आप मूवी देख रहे हो, फर्नीचर खरीद रहे हो, everything has a user experience. वो तो recently लोगों ने UX को tech से connect कर लिया है.
Just like we had a bad UX experience when we called this sofa in Radisson.
Yeah.
Anyways, so like how can people get better at communicating the story of the brand or the story in general? Like how can someone get better at storytelling?
Yeah, I feel like you have to practice it in your day-to-day life. Don't wait for any opportunities. Even when you're talking to your friends or parents, you should always be selling something. I'm very famous for this in my friend circle. Even if I'm telling them about some restaurant, it's like, tu kaam kar dega restaurant ke liye, why are you selling it to us? Right? And second is the ability to figure out कि सामने वाले को क्या चाहिए. See, it's all about triggering senses.
The way Ansh pitched me the parties that happen here in Delhi got me hooked.
Exactly, right? Like, so the thing is, you have to figure out कि सामने वाले का attention कहाँ पर आएगा.
Right. Tell me something about branding. What are some brand strategies that you absolutely love whenever you look at brands?
See, मैं जितना भी research करता हूँ, I realize कि ये brand is about building trust, right? Like when we look at all the big brands, it's simply because अगर इस brand का कहीं से नाम associated है, you will trust them to do something. That is what I've been doing. Like my aim is to become like the face of UX 5 years down the line for India. कि India में अगर कोई UX बोले तो अंश मेरा याद आ जाए. But the building stages कि you have to establish trust. So अगर आप कोई भी ब्रांड बना रहे हो, मेक श्योर कि आपके कोर वैल्यूज हो. आप जो भी काम इंटरनेट पे डाल रहे हो या किसी से भी अगर इंटरेक्ट कर रहे हो, यू एग्जिबिट दोज वैल्यूज very explicitly.
What are like some psychological effects that you've seen brands use that have worked out very well for them?
I think there are two majorly जो बहुत ज़्यादा common है. First is the aesthetic usability effect. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर कोई चीज़ दिखने में अच्छी है तो हम assume कर लेते हैं कि ये काम करने में भी उतनी अच्छी होगी. कोई दिखने में अच्छी गाड़ी है, दिखने में अच्छा कपड़ा है, तो automatically assume कर लेते हैं कि it would work well. So a lot of brands use that in their visual identity. The second is scarcity and exclusivity, right? Fake scarcity. कि limited options है, इतना ही बनेगा. We see this in sneaker culture as well, right? जबकि I see a lot of sneakers everywhere, right? So the point is कि you have to make sure that when people buy something, they feel like they're a part of something because everyone is looking for a tribe. If you can give them that sensation that they belong to something, they will come back to you again and again.
Right. There are brands like Apple, Nike, IKEA. What have you learned from all of these brands and like the way they market their product?
I feel like they all stand for something and they're not selling to everyone because you're selling to everyone, you're selling to no one. So Nike is selling to that specific section of people. Apple is selling it to that specific section of people and it ignores all the haters. So that is a big lesson that I've learned from that don't try to sell to everyone.
Right. Anyone who is in college, right?
Yeah.
They are trying to figure out how do they optimize for learning as well as for monetary aspect.
Yeah.
What is your thinking in that? Like when you graduated from college, what was your thought process?
Yeah, I feel like there are 2-3 things that you can do in general, right? So this podcast can be listened by anyone. So I'm trying to give points that are generic for everyone. It would apply to everyone who's watching this. First is your own personality, your own ability to sell. The thing is, we spend too much time in the virtual spaces. इतना Instagram, YouTube कर रहे हैं कि reality में कैसे behave करना है लोग वही भूल गए हैं. So I would recommend everyone to step out and meet people because you can instantly identify in between a person who's been gaming for half of his life versus a person who's on the field. Right? So invest in your body, invest in your ability to speak, invest in your ability to sell. Second is find a skill that is scalable, which is related to technology. Because the world of pixels moves faster than the world of atoms. अगर आप कुछ physical domain में कर रहे हो versus something related to tech, टेक में यू हैव स्केल. सो कुछ भी आपका पैशन हो, चाहे क्रिकेट खेलना हो, फुटबॉल खेलना हो, चाहे मोमोज बनाना भी हो, फिगर आउट कि टेक का इससे क्या इंटरसेक्शन है, find something in that. And third is be connected to the right people on the internet. इंटरनेट पे जितना अपने आप को डालो कि जितना publicly showcase करो कि more people will find about you and it would lead you to more opportunities.
How do you price your work? How should someone think about pricing?
Yeah, I feel like the market tells you.
Based and how?
No, mine is deliverable based, never hourly based. Because why would I get punished for working fast? Right. So if you're really good at your job, you will finish things very quickly. So you should be valued on your outputs and not your inputs. So always deliverable based.
How to think about it? Like let's just say someone is making like a logo, someone is designing like a thumbnail. So how do they figure out okay, this is the price range I should go for, or should they go for lower amount just for getting the experience and the portfolio? How should they approach this thing?
Many
because I think
factors.
बहुत सारे लोग clueless होते हैं about this thing when they're getting started.
Yeah, many factors, right? So if you're just starting out, I would recommend you कि agree for work at a lower cost, simply because you need the experience, you need the exposure. वो आपको करना ही पड़ता है. But if you're working for free for a year, मतलब एक साल में आपने 10 clients मुफ्त में कर दिए, then something is wrong. So maybe beginning में आपने 3-4 बारी मुफ्त में कर दिया. But when it comes to pricing, a lot of it depends on the opposite person as well as to who you are selling it to. Rather than on your end, you have to check कि मैं जिसको ये बेच रहा हूँ, वो लोगो कहाँ छप रहा है. Let कर लो कि मैं करोल बाग में एक आदमी के लिए लोगो बना रहा हूँ. उसने लोगो सिर्फ एक बिजनेस कार्ड पे छापना है, तो वो मुझे शायद 10-15 हज़ार रुपए दे दे. यही अगर मैं एक एयरलाइंस के लिए लोगो बना रहा हूँ, तो वो सिर्फ बिजनेस कार्ड पे नहीं, उसके प्लेन पे, लेदर पे, यूनिफॉर्म पे, हर जगह प्रिंट होना है. अगर लोगो गलत बन गया तो जिन जगहों पे वो छपा है वो भी गलत हो गई. तो एक प्लेन की कॉस्ट वर्सेस एक इतने से कार्ड की कॉस्ट में बहुत फर्क है. तो उस लोगो का पर्पस क्या है, दैट ऑल्सो डिसाइड्स कि मैं इसके लिए कितना चार्ज करूं. बिकॉज जब आप बड़ी कंपनीज के लिए लोगो बनाते हो, द क्राइटेरिया इज मैसिव. बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजों का ध्यान रखना होता है. कलर स्कीम्स, आइडेंटिटी, वो छोटे पे स्टिच हो सकता है, बड़े पे स्टिच हो सकता है. सो व्हेन यू डू अ गुड जॉब फॉर अ बिगर क्लाइंट, द डिलीवरेबल्स इंक्रीज. व्हेन डिलीवरेबल्स इंक्रीज, you have to ask for more.
Right. You talked about social media and all that. What are some effects that you see in social media platforms use that have helped them to grab our attention?
I mean, the most common one is infinite scroll.
Yeah.
I think his name is Azar Raskin or Jeff Raskin. एंड उनके फादर एप्पल में काम करते थे, तो जिन्होंने इन्फिनिट स्क्रॉल बनाया, ही यूज्ड टू गो विद हिज डैड टू ऑल दीज यूआई वर्कशॉप्स व्हेन ही वाज अ किड. एंड यू नो, इन्फिनिट स्क्रॉल हो गया, देन एस्थेटिक यूजेबिलिटी इफेक्ट. ये इंस्टाग्राम इज फिल्ड विद एस्थेटिक पिक्चर्स, सो वी आर हुक्ड टू इट. देयर इज दिस थिंग कॉल्ड फिट्स लॉ. तो फिट्स लॉ क्या बोलता है कि अगर आपको किसी टारगेट को हिट करना है, तो उसका साइज और उसकी प्रॉक्सिमिटी पर डिपेंड करता है कि लोग उस पर कितना क्लिक करेंगे. इजी भाषा में ये कि जो आपका लाइक का आइकन है वो हमेशा फोटो के नीचे है, जिससे वो थंब से इजीली रीच हो जाए. वो चाहते तो टॉप लेफ्ट कॉर्नर पे भी कर सकते थे, बट नीचे कर रहा है. लाइक, कॉमेंट एंड शेयर लेफ्ट पर है, एंड जो सेव है वो राइट साइड पे, क्योंकि सेव एक ऐसा फीचर है जो मेरी प्राइवेट इंटरेक्शंस के लिए है, बाकी 3 पब्लिक इंटरेक्शंस के लिए इट्स पब्लिकली विजिबल। सो यूआई में बहुत ऐसे लॉजिकल डिसीजंस लिए जाते हैं जिससे एक्सेसिबिलिटी एंड एंगेजमेंट हाई रहे।
But like, how do you prevent that from affecting my health? Like, how can someone do like a social media detox?
No clue,
And
dude.
if
I've
so-
been trying. I can't go for the detox. I wish I knew. I would have gone for the detox. I'm hooked to the app.
You are aware of the effects that they are using.
Yeah,
And
I'm
you're
still
still a
enjoying.
prey for
I'm
it.
still enjoying.
Wow, wonderful. आप बताइए, what is the scope for design in the future for someone who's getting started in UX design? What is the salary like that people
Yeah.
can get started with?
Yeah.
And how does the career progression happen?
So I feel like India में तो there's a huge boom that's gonna come in because learning curve is not very difficult. Coding में क्या होता है, it's very intimidating. Design में the tool is pretty simple to get started with, and demand बहुत high है, supply बहुत कम है.
Right.
So you can spend 1 or 2 years, you know, getting your first case study sorted. किसी डिग्री की जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि काफी कंपनीज बोलती है if you can deliver, you can join us. Big companies as well. In fact, most of my senior product designer friends are self-taught. They've never been to design school and they're making good amount of money. When it comes to salaries, I feel कि दोनों startups, जो VC funded startups है और जो अच्छी companies है, on average it's between 70 to 80K per month starting. This is when you're a good designer who knows Figma, systems, prototyping and is good at communicating. But I know some people जिनकी beginning में ही 1.5 lakh rupees थी. And you know, there's a survey by Zeta. They have conducted a survey, बहुत मतलब लड़ाई झगड़े हो गए थे उस सर्वे के बाद. तो उसमें तो 1-1 करोड़ रुपए जिनको 5-6 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है उनको भी 1 CR 1.5 CR की सैलरीज मिल रही है.
1 करोड़ की सैलरी?
Yeah, more than 1 crore actually
अरे बाप रे,
for UX designers.
तो मैं भी बन जाऊँ UX designer.
You're already making more than that.
नहीं, but anyways, there's a huge trend of no code coming out there.
Yeah.
Right? How would you advise someone to get started in this field of no code? And like, what opportunities can they have?
I think no code is the future क्योंकि जैसे जैसे entrepreneurship बढ़ रही है, everyone wants their own website, their own app. A lot of tools are coming in जो no code कर रहे हैं. To get started, it's very easy. Literally go on the YouTube का their YouTube channel and start learning. But the thing is, एक tool को use करना is where things become very interesting. Right? When we look at Figma, when we look at Photoshop, there are 5-6 features common जो सब use करते हैं, but they use it in millions of different ways. So try to fine tune your creativity, your ability to use the same primitives to come up with really complex results. No code tool, that's awesome, right? वो कोई भी सीख लेगा. But the real fun begins when you can use the same primitives to come up with really interesting solutions. So be more creative.
Right. What books do you enjoy to read?
So I read the same books again and again.
कौन सी?
So there are 2-3 books that I would recommend everyone. First is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Brilliant book. It can change your life. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Great book. And Principles by Ray Dalio.
Right.
I feel कि अगर आपने ये 3 books 2-3 बारी भी पढ़ ली ना, आप बेसिक्स तो आपके क्लियर है लाइफ के.
What's the best lesson that you have taken from Naval Ravikant's book?
The most thought-provoking lesson was that he spoke about Warren Buffett and a lot of other people who spend a lot of time thinking and very less time acting. So they might think for a year and then act in 1 month. That really matters a lot because we keep acting without thinking कि करना क्या है. हम 1 साल तक काम करते रहेंगे और 1 महीना लगाएंगे सोचने के लिए कि करना क्या है. It should be the other way around. That is what I try to keep, you know, in my mind.
Right. How do you manage your day? How do you stay productive?
I don't have a schedule, to be honest. I'm very free-flowing. There are 2-3 tools that I regularly use. Todoist to keep a track of what I have to do. Cron to sync my calendar. Brilliant app. Notion to document everything that I learn. I don't rely on my memory. Learned this from Ankur Warikoo. He's like, don't remember anything. I don't remember anything. Right? The second aspect is my own body. I feel like to stay productive, you need to have high energy. अगर आप पे time भी है, but अगर energy नहीं है, then that time is useless for you. So I invest in my nutrition. I try to eat the right things. I try to exercise every alternate day, at least thrice a week, and try to do things जिससे मेरे को अच्छा लगे, rather than forcefully doing things जिससे मैं और drained feel करूँ. That keeps me very productive.
Right. Tell me more about your Notion workspace. How have you organized?
Dude, it's a game changer. I keep promoting Notion, but it's
Did you get in touch with the company?
not yet. Not yet. If
should.
you're watching this Notion, you should
They
get
are.
in touch.
They are.
I have promoted Notion like crazy, dude. I feel like, see, I talk about this all the time. Like, documentation can change your life because our evolution is also because of documentation. जितनी भी हम ये technology use कर रहे हैं, अगर किसी ने document नहीं करी होती तो हम सबको zero से शुरू करना पड़ता. Our genetic code is a result of documentation.
Right.
So we have to take clues from nature and मैं जो भी सीखता हूँ मैंने साल के हिसाब से पेजेस बनाए हुए हैं, हर साल के अंदर महीने के हिसाब से पेजेस बनाए हुए हैं. Everything that I've learned in design is documented. तो मुझे जब भी कोई content बनाना होता है, I open one of these pages and I write the script. And at one point, I feel like 3 years down the line, you might be able to like sell your Notion pages because it's your own personal search engine.
Totally.
Right? अगर आप online जाते हो, you don't get the best results. I learned this from my senior Abhinav Chikara. He was at Unacademy pehle. So he's like Google and all these places, you don't get the best results. You get the best SEO results. But here on Notion, this is your own private search engine. You control the narrative.
What are some designs that you really enjoyed looking at outside of like websites or apps in general, like in nature?
Dude, I mean, in nature, in malls, in clothes, I am looking at design everywhere. There's no one spot. Like I literally, मेरा weekend का schedule ही यही होता है. मैं earphones लगा के निकल
And
जाता
how
हूँ.
can someone get in this mode? Like you said, right? Like when you think too much about design, you go to Chandni Chowk or something.
Yeah. I go to Chandni Chowk, Karol Bagh चले जाओ. You learn so much from these places, right? Because see, लोगों को क्या लगता है design is just about visual aesthetics and how a thing looks. That is not true, right? Design is about a structure. Like a lot of people say that God is a great designer.
Right.
Because we've been designed so well. Like our entire experience is so well designed. So you understand कि चीजें बनती कैसी. And the most interesting part is that once you study different fields, like I've studied science, filmmaking, engineering, I've realized that there are certain patterns that repeat themselves. And उससे क्या होता है, मेरा pattern recognition strong हो जाता है. If you work on your pattern recognition, you fine tune your ability to predict what will happen next. If you can predict what happens next, you can take better decisions. And of course, decision making helps you take better bets.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining me here. काफी अच्छा लगा आपसे बात करके.
Likewise.
And people that are still watching this video, thank you so much. If you have any questions about UX design, about psychology, about productivity, let me know below. You can check out his socials, YouTube and Instagram.
Yes, at anshmehra.work.
.work. Definitely check that out as well. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much, guys. Share this video with your friends. Hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.